Mary's been alone for 3 years now. I say alone, she's been here at the home for almost 20 years, and there's plenty of people here who are really very fond of her. She makes everyone smile. I mean, she hasn't got anyone left. Well, no family at least. Her dad died last. She says his name sometimes and asks after him, but I don't think she really knows that he's gone. She loves it out here in the garden. Asks her what she likes doing the most, and I think this is it. She doesn't know that she's ill. Well, doesn't know she's seriously ill. It's her heart, same as her mum's. And now she needs an operation, and soon. It's not like she can't make any decisions for herself. I mean, she knows what she likes, and she knows what she doesn't like. But this, how would you ask her if she wants to go through with an operation of this magnitude? And if she can't make the decision, then who will? What are you going to decide for Mary?
The Independent Mental Capacity Advocates, or IMCAs as they're known, are professional people. They're employed to be IMCAs, and in Somerset they're run by an advocacy service, and they have contact details and referral forms, and staff should know where to find those details when a decision like that has to be made. Now, it's not every decision that you contact an IMCA for under the Capacity Act. It's only for a decision which involves serious medical treatment, or it involves a move somewhere for more than 28 days. So if a person has no friends or family and the decision to be made is about serious medical treatment or about a move somewhere for more than 28 days, then we must get an independent mental capacity advocate involved.
What seems to be the problem, Mr.
Dad's got this terrible cough.
I see. And how long have you had this cough, Mr.
2 weeks now. It's driving me mad.
It can't be very nice for you, Mr.
No, it isn't.
It isn't, no!
Let me have a listen.
Lift up your top for the doctor.
It can be very tempting for professionals to turn to a carer or a relative or a friend who seems to know someone really well and kind of allow them to make decisions on behalf of someone. The Mental Capacity Act doesn't allow substitute decision making unless that's been formally arranged somehow. The relative can provide information, can provide opinions, can say what they think the person might want, but that isn't the ultimate decision.
So you can give him something.
Oh, yes, this should get rid of it. The only downside, it's likely to make you quite drowsy, Mr.
Oh, he doesn't mind that.
Don't I?
The only people who are able to make a decision on behalf of someone else are people who have had a lasting power of attorney granted to them, or people who are a deputy appointed by the Court of Protection. Lasting power of attorney is something that everybody in the country over the age of 18 should consider making. It's a way of allowing someone else to make decisions on our behalf when we lose capacity to make them for ourselves. We can grant a power to someone else to allow them to make decisions for us when we lose the capacity to do so. When somebody has this lasting power of attorney, then professionals should talk to that attorney as though they are the person who has lost capacity. There are two types of lasting power of attorney. There's one for financial decisions, and there's another one for welfare decisions. And so healthcare professionals have to check which kind of lasting power of attorney a person holds. A person who has a lasting power of attorney will have documentation that proves it. The difference between a lasting power of attorney and a deputy appointed by the court is that a lasting power of attorney gets appointed by an individual when they have the capacity to do so. If someone loses capacity to make decisions and it's decided that they need someone to make decisions on their behalf, then we can go to the Court of Protection, and the court can appoint a deputy to make those decisions on behalf of the person. And the court will be very specific about what kind of decisions that deputy can make.
When the time comes, if I can't make that decision, my daughter will make it for me. That's what I want.
All of us, once we get to the age of 18, we have the ability to let people know what we don't want to have done to us in the future if we lose capacity. The effect of an advanced decision is the same as if you still have capacity and you are refusing the offer of a treatment. Advanced decisions don't have to be written down for everything. They can be verbal. The real onus is on the person making the advanced decision to make sure the people who need to know about it do know about it. Because if you as a healthcare professional or a social care professional don't know about someone's advanced decision, you can assume that there isn't one. It's only if you know about it you have to abide by it. An advanced decision is legally binding. Once it's known that somebody doesn't want a particular form of treatment, that particular form of treatment can't be given.
When the time comes, I don't want treatment, but I need people to know that now while I'm able to say it.
When it comes to decisions about life-sustaining treatment and about refusing offers of life-sustaining treatment, then it's not enough that the advanced decision is verbal or just scribbled down on a piece of paper somewhere. It does have to be written down. It has to be very specific. The more specific, the better, and relating to the exact treatment that's being offered. It has to be made with capacity, so you can only make an advanced decision when you've got the capacity to do so. And when it comes to decisions about refusing life-sustaining treatment, you have to write it down, it has to be signed, and your signature has to be witnessed by someone. A statement of wishes is a bit different. It's about saying, if in the future I lose capacity, then I would like this and this to be done to me. So it's like expressing your opinion in advance about what you would like, if it's at all possible, but it's not enforceable. It can be quite difficult sometimes to work out whether someone is genuinely making a capacitated, unwise decision, or have they lost capacity in that they are unable to weigh up all the information they're being given. And so the decision that they're making, that if they're making it with capacity, might be deemed an unwise one, but if they're making that decision without capacity, then that's not a genuine decision, and it's where people do have a right to intervene in someone's best interests. And that's when perhaps a best interests meeting could be held so that people can get their heads together to really discuss that and try and work out what's actually going on.
You've got to stop doing this, Mr. Hunter. You can't keep going out late at night by yourself. What if someone, takes advantage of you?
The decisions I make are up to me, surely.
Okay, this is Paula. Overdose, paracetamol, quantity unknown, 2 empty packets found with the patient. Okay?
Being of sound mind and body, I wish to make it clear that I do not, under any circumstances, want to receive any treatment which may reverse the effects of my overdose and save my life.
I don't understand. Why call the ambulance?
I didn't want anyone to find me. It would have been too upsetting for them.
If we do nothing, she'll die. That's what will happen. How can we let her die?
It's my decision. You might not agree with it, it might be unwise, but it's my decision.
One of the things to remember about advanced decisions is that they only become valid if the person who's made them has now lost capacity and can't make the decision for themselves anymore. If a person still has a capacity to make a decision, then any advanced decision they've made is not yet valid because the person can still make the decision for themselves.
It's not been witnessed. It's not valid. We can treat her.
It doesn't need to be. She's capable of making the decision in the here and now. Are you sure?
In that situation where someone is saying, I don't want to receive treatment, I know I'll probably die if I don't receive treatment, if they've got the capacity to make that decision has to be honoured. You can't force treatment on someone when they've capacitously refused it. To do so could potentially be assault. So yes, it's very difficult for professionals to be put in that position, to kind of stand back and allow someone to die in front of them because that's what the person wants. Very difficult for healthcare professionals to do that, but unless the person lacks capacity, or perhaps the person is suffering from a mental disorder as defined in the Mental Health Act, which could mean they could potentially be sectioned under the Mental Health Act and then be given treatment against their capacitated refusal under that legal framework. Unless that applies, the person's wishes have to be respected. The Capacity Act also allows life-preserving treatment to be provided whilst you go to court to get a final decision about whether someone genuinely has capacity or not. So if there's reason to doubt someone's capacity, it is okay to give them the minimal treatment required in order to preserve their life whilst you go to court to get a final decision, and you can allow the court to make that life or death decision. In these emergency life or death situations where you need a really quick decision from a court, it is possible to go to court quickly. You'd have to contact the trust's legal advisors and they can get an emergency sort of temporary order from the court. And these can sometimes be done overnight. You can kind of, there'll be a judge on call, if you like, and they can make decisions in their bedroom in their pyjamas that will hold until a full hearing can be had. And that does happen sometimes.
You're not coping.
He couldn't cope.
We spoke to him about it several times.
Washing, feeding yourself.
There was no food anywhere.
The other risk with overestimating capacity, of course, is deciding not to intervene when somebody could really benefit from some intervention. So, for example, someone who's living alone at home and possibly neglecting themselves, and people turn up to offer help, and the person politely tells them to go away and says, no, I'm fine, thanks. And so the professionals go away without stopping to think, well, actually, does that person actually have the capacity to say no thanks at the moment?
I know you don't want to go. This is your home.
We'd found him a room. Nice place. Not too far away.
He'd have been all right there. That's where he should have gone.
He hated hospitals, apparently.
It's not a hospital.
His wife was in the hospital for a long time before she died.
It would have been warm. Not like his place.
In the end, what could we do?
If it's what you want.
We can't force someone out of their home.
Just look after yourself. Till I'm in next.
We have to respect a person's rights and wishes.
I found him.
Jack? Jack? Are you in there?
No food, no warmth, nothing.
Did we make a mistake?
Come on. A person's wishes are one thing, but what if they don't know what's best for them? Is this really what he would have wanted? Really?
Why didn't you go?
Does the person actually have the capacity to decide to neglect themselves? Do they really want to starve themselves to death, for example? Or have they lost the capacity to be making that decision, so that we should be intervening in their best interests and keep them alive and make sure they don't neglect themselves? Sometimes it's a very fine line and trying to work out whether someone is making an unwise decision with capacity, or whether they've lost capacity and they're making a decision that they don't have the capacity to make, so we have a duty to intervene in their best interests. Within the Somerset Partnership, if a member of staff is at all concerned about, first of all, whether or not somebody has capacity to make a decision, and then if they do lack capacity, what might be in that person's best interests, and how far we can go in intervening. The first stop is for them to bump it up the management line. So they go and talk to their manager about it, just to double check things are okay. If they're still uncertain, they can bump it up further and talk to the manager's manager. They can come to talk to someone like me about what might be necessary. And if I don't know the answer, we can go and get formal legal advice about what we should do. There's always lots of sources of information and support. I hope members of staff never feel alone with this. It's going to be quite a rare occurrence where someone is completely alone and have to make a really quick decision about somebody's capacity and what's in their best interests. There might be odd occasions where that has to happen, but most of the time there's going to be time to seek other people's opinions, to ask for help, ask for advice. And I'd like to encourage people to do that. I'd love to encourage that culture within the trust of asking what other people think and getting a consensus opinion about the way to go, and not being afraid to ask those questions and ask people higher up the managerial line. That's not a problem. It should be actively encouraged, and people should feel confident in doing that. They won't be seen as being silly or incompetent. They'll be seen as doing a good job and making sure they're doing the right thing.